Hey there, welcome to today's episode. We're just going to be making a beat with Koala Sampler and the SP404 MKII. Now, every time I make one of these videos, people always ask me, do you need to have the SP and Koala? No, you can do everything with Koala, you can do everything just with the SP. Depends on your workflow, of course. I'm a sample-based hip-hop guy, and using either of these two on their own, it's completely fine. I am going to use them together, though, because I do think they are a great combination. You can connect them via USB-C, and they're kind of integrated now after the little partnership between Roland and Koala. But today, I'm just running the audio from the iPad into the SP so that I can use the USB-C audio from the SP into the computer so that you guys can hear it. Anyway, let's dive in because I don't have a huge amount of time. We're going to start with Koala, put some drums together because I really like using the sequencer over here. So let's find some drum sounds. I think this is Marco Polo stuff, so let's use some of these. Kind of like this one. Slow this one up. It's a little bit quiet. We can probably normalize, get a little bit more volume. And let's find some other samples. That one's good enough. Let's take a snare drum. Again, good enough. Let's not be too fussy. Hi-hat's a little loud for my taste. Sequence. Let's open up a sequence. Kick drums, snares, do something super simple. Hi-hats. Across the board for now, little velocity variation to just make it more interesting. Got a strange BPM. Let's go to 90. No, let's go 80 something. Let's go dead on 80. Let's do a little bit of a kick drum here. Another one here. Maybe one here and one there for now. And just kind of balance these things out with velocity. Don't mind that. If we apply a little bit of swing to that, yeah, it's better groove. And then what we can do is we can double this up to make it more interesting still. So when we've got two bars, we'll just move a couple of things around to make it just a bit of a switch up. So maybe put this kick drum over here. Might even put the snare drum over here. Maybe add another snare drum in here. Move this kick like this. We can now use the SP and see about applying some effects to that. Got lo-fi here, that's already set up. Could try the vinyl sim instead. Yeah, kind of like the vinyl sim. Obviously, there's some compression going on. You can hear it pulling all the noise floor up, but that's kind of cool. What we'll do is leave just a little bit of a gap. And the reason for that is because we're going to use the skip back. So what we'll do, leave that little bit of a gap for a second and then play this for the two bars. We know we got 80 BPM. Let's match it on the SP. So let's go to tap tempo with pad 11 and just make this 80 BPM. We'll now play this for two bars. Wanted to leave one extra kick drum so I know where to chop it, and then we're going to press mark and use the skip back function to get those drums with the effect. Now, the thing I left the gap for is so that it's easy to just chop it down because it's recording for 40 seconds if you have it on the max time. So you might as well leave just your big gap and then you can just quickly jump over here and truncate, just do like a big truncate, and then you can dive in. I'm going to normalize as well because we need a little bit more volume. Let's just dive in and find our start point. I'm going to move over, get this roughly in line with the first kick drum, and then just zoom in. And I'm going to put resample, so zero crossing. You can see that off and on. I want it on so it doesn't give me any clicks and pops, and it's going to jump to the zero crossing. Around there is going to be good. Truncate, that's our first marker for the beginning of the loop. And when you're in this menu, sub pad is how you play that. Now, I always leave the extra kick drum because it's just a very simple way of then getting your endpoint, so we can line it up roughly here and then just dial that in a little bit more to, I don't know, probably around there, and we'll truncate that. I want this as a recording and we're going to start building on the SP. So in order to do that, we hit record so that we can take this little bit of audio we're playing around with and we can load it onto a pad. These are all available because it's a completely blank project, but if I just put it over onto here. Now, we know it's 80 BPM because that's what we're working with. We chopped it manually, so it might not be dead on accurate, but we know it's certainly not 90 BPM. And if we go to pitch and speed for this particular pad, we can go to auto with push and enter and recalculate the BPM. I like SX length. It just seems to be more accurate to me. So let's try that. Yeah, 80.13, that's about right. When you look at it on the pad, it kind of rounds up or down, whatever it's closest to. But there you go, we've got 80. We'll leave it like this in kind of one-shot mode so that we can put it into a pattern. We're going to go to pattern select, record, choose a place for the pattern. 80 BPM is going to be correct. 100% in terms of quantization is what I want because it's a loop, so we want it to snap to the beginning. I think I have it set up to just start recording when I hit a pad. We've recorded that loop to the pattern. It's going to be good enough. So we've created a loop using Koala Sampler for the drums, put some effects on it, resampled it through the SP, and loaded it up to a pattern in the SP. We're now going to come back to Koala Sampler, and what I'm looking for is some kind of sample, and to do that, we're going to jump over to Spotify and hopefully not play anything for too long because I don't want to get in trouble for the algorithm. Let's go for late night jazz. That's pretty cool. And what I'm going to do here, we could chop it up Koala side. That's not going to be a problem, record it. But because we got this thing set up and the SP is constantly listening, we can actually play this through. And in order to make the digital sample, because of course this is just something from Spotify, I'm going to try and use a little vinyl sim so that it feels a little bit more like we took it from an old record. So we're going to do MFX, turn the 303 sim back on. Now when we're playing that sample, that effect is being applied and we can just play as much as we want and use the skip back function again to sample that with the effect. Really, really simple stuff. That's going to be good enough. May get stung for that one. We'll find out when I come to upload the video. But there we go. We can use skip back now. So hit mark and skip back. That's the vinyl sim included because the skip back includes anything that's currently turned on. And you can see where I was kind of stopping and starting with that sample. So again, we'll just move over to here, do a big truncate to get us roughly into the ballpark. Use my sub pad to dial in and we'll just find our start point. Probably there's going to be good enough. The end point, because we're going to slice it up, doesn't really matter that much. I'll probably just dial it back to roughly here, truncate, and I'm going to normalize as well, just to make sure we've got the best kind of amount of volume out of this. And then what we can do is we can press record to save it to a pad. We'll do it onto pad 2. It's going to be good enough. And we can just jump straight in and start chopping the thing up. Shift and chop on start and end. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I just like chopping manually, so I'm just going to put the slice points in by pressing this first one and then hitting the next pads wherever I want the chops. We've got these chops. Just turn this down a little bit in case it's coming in a bit loud. And what we can do, push and enter to zoom right in. It's a little click and pop in there, but we'll get to that later on. And I'm just going to zoom in roughly, maybe zoom out a little where we can see the transients. And I think it's control 2, I think, moves the start point for this. So just dial it in to where I want it. If we make sure 0 crossing is turned on again, that should also help with clicks and pops. And I can see sometimes, you know, where I'm just not quite close to the transient, kind of like this. And you can see where I'm off from the transient there where that piano starts, so obviously we want to be over a bit closer to that. Once you've made those decisions, we can set this thing up. So push and enter, where we go into the menu. Assign to pads is what we want to do. And for me, I just like to kind of auto-assign. So you'll see assign, mark, auto-assign. Just do mark and then push and enter. It's just going to put them into order. You can assign it differently however you want, but I like doing that. Push and enter. And then we know it's going to put all of those chops. So this is our drums and then all of the chops start here. Now, I did that on purpose because you'll notice nothing's in a mute group, so it overlaps and it just sounds like a horrible mess. If we do shift, and you'll notice mute groups written under pad 8, we can put everything into a mute group. You've got a bunch of different ones to choose from. We'll just use A for now because they all need to be in the same one. And I think this one is red. It assigns them different colors, but just make sure all of them are now in a mute group. When we exit and we do the same thing, you'll notice I'm not getting them overlapping. That's exactly what we want. Now, In order to play around with this, do we want to kind of pitch the samples up and down? Well, yeah, we can do that. First, we need to select one. So if we select the first one, pitch and speed is what I'm looking at. And then if I do shift here, and then I think if you try remain, that is everything in the bank. So you could pitch everything in the bank, but we don't want to do that because that would include the drums. If we do copy, you'll see to mute group, and then I can take my hand off here for a second, and it should be pitching all of these down, I believe. -3 semitones sounds good enough. We can then play our pattern and just try and work out some sample chops to the pattern. There's something there that's good enough. Not sure how long we need. We might need longer than what we've got in our pattern. We've got 2 bars. It's probably good enough to get a loop going, but there's something I like about those chops. Let's record so the video is not too long. Pattern, go to the same pattern. Of course, we're going to record back into that. Can press record where we can choose. Let's see. Let's record 2 bars anyway. Let it loop around. Enough. What I want to do is I want to make a copy of the pattern so that we can do a switch up. I want to play around with those pieces in a different way and just start building sections that could be the beat. What we'll do here is copy this over. So if you copy a pattern, you can just copy it over to the next step. Before you do that though, you can tell it what you want to send over. So if I make a copy, of course, it's going to copy everything over. If we do this one, I'm going to press remain to choose. All I want is the drums. I don't want the sample chops that we've used. So if I just copy the drums over, we're just copying those, hit copy. Now when we play pattern 2, it should be the same thing, but just the drums. And we can go in and we can re-record something else just to switch up. So again, record, go into this pattern, hit record again. So that's going to go. It's waiting for me to start again. So let's just start on this pad, I think. Kind of cool. Anyway, we've got the 2 patterns. Now when we move between the 2 patterns, we'll get that kind of switch up. Now, for speed, because I don't have a huge amount of time today, what we'll do is we'll do that again just to make something that's like a basic intro to the track. You could choose either of these. I'm just going to go with the first one. So this time I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this first pattern. I'm going to copy it over to number 3 and we're going to do remain. But this time I'm going to choose just the sample chops and not take the drums and do copy. Now this one should just be kind of like the intro. Gives me a chance to look at something else as well. When we're back in the pattern, these sample chops, we use the 0 crossing feature so that we didn't have too many clicks and pops, but it's still a little rough. There's a way that we could smooth that out. The way that you do that is to go to envelope. So where pitch and speed is, if you do shift, just make sure you've got one of the sample slices that you want to play around with. So this one. Just make sure that's selected. Then we're going to do shift and envelope, so pitch and speed. If we do the same thing here and we do copy, everything inside of this mute group gets the same settings. So I just want to apply a little attack, not a crazy amount, but a small amount of attack to those sample chops that just kind of smooth them at the beginning. Go back to our pattern. We can try that with 2 and see what it sounds like. Now, even at 2, you can hear that fade in, so maybe just 1 would be enough. The other cool thing about that, though, which is a DiBiase trick, or certainly that's where I first heard about it, is that if you turn the attack up and make it stronger and you get more of that fade in effect, it sounds like side chaining. It sounds like when the kick's coming in, it's ducking those like sample chops down. Sounds okay to me though. I think what we need is some other little samples to bring in. So I need to go back to my iPad, and what we'll do is we will find some vinyl static or something to record in here. I want a little vinyl noise like this one. Yeah, it's not super loud, it's not like in your face, and we'll just record a piece of that. just take as much as we want because we're going to use skip back again to just transfer that over. It's just such a quick way of doing it. Let's just use skip back for a second. All we want is this vinyl noise that we'll see. Just going to chop it. Doesn't have to be too neat for this because it's just a bit of vinyl noise. Let's go to record where we want to select the pad to save that noise. Now, if we'd have done this on the first pattern and then just copied the patterns, we'd have this already in. So that would be a quicker way of working, but we've got it now to add into our pattern. So go back to pattern. Let's start with the intro. Just going to go into record. I'm going to make sure quantization is fully on. Take gated mode off for a second. That's recorded into that pattern, and we're just going to follow that same procedure. It's on that one, and finally on this pattern as well. There we go. Finally, let's just take a little vocal sample, something daft. We'll load that in, we'll put it wherever we want, and we'll just kind of play out on the beat from there. I didn't want to spend too long today. I didn't have a lot of time, but I did want to play around with these two devices and just make something. So let's find a sample. We'll find it in here. Let's take something from maybe from a movie. See what we've got.
The Mark of the Devil.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.
I kind of like that one. Just going to use skip back because we've played it, so it's already going to be in here somewhere. There'll be a bunch of noise that we were playing before because, again, 40 seconds, but towards the end here, we will have that sample. So over here somewhere.
The Mark of the Devil.
What's it like?
From this point, so do a quick truncate, and then we'll normalize.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.
And I think I just want the first part of that. So I'm going to take it to here and truncate. We're going to record that to the pad or save it there. And then we're going to use delay. Dial this delay in. So what have we got? We've got 1/16. Let's go to 1/8 would be there.
What's it like on the inside?
Yeah, so we've got that kind of cool delay effect. We're going to use skip back again, though, to apply that just where we want it. I don't want it for the entire sample. So I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to play the sample and just turn it on just at the end of the phrase.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.
Just like that. And then when we use skip back, that's going to be there as well.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.
And we've got the sample now with the delay. So record, put that onto a new pad. So it's on pad 12. And then we can just put that in where we want. So I think we'll maybe start with that on the intro.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.
So we've got a very basic intro and a couple of switch-ups. Good enough for today's episode. Just wanted to cook up something. I do kind of like those piano chops. Hopefully we don't get stung for the copyright. Sounds pretty cool. Pitched down, sliced up, rearranged. Good enough to play out on the beat. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'll catch you guys in the next one. We'll play out and I'll just mess around with the effects on the SP while we're here. See you guys in the next episode. Take care.
What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside. What's it like on the inside? You know, I've never seen the inside.